Hey guys, welcome back. It's Nick Dingle with part 3 of Naughts and Crosses. This time around, we're going to finish up the coding for our game and test the heck out of it. Now, we just finished up creating the spawn prefab where it would create the right player at the right position. And what I want to do is we're going to move on to basically check who's won the game. Before we can do that, we need to actually make up a system where we can remember what player went in what square. Okay? And that's really important because it's really easy to instantiate objects in different positions. It's really hard to keep a memory of where they went. So I'm going to use what's called an array of integers up here. I'm going to go int, square brackets this time, squares. Okay, and what I've just made there is a variable called squares that we can put numbers inside of because that's what int means. And the square brackets mean I want more than one. Okay, now how many is up to me, how many numbers I want to use. First thing is, let's actually put in a comment, squares tells us who owns which square in the game. Okay. Now, how many squares do I want? Well, I want it to match up with the number of squares that we have here, which is 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go equals new int 9. And that will create 9 numbers for who owns what square. And you might be asking, how the heck do I know who owns what square? By default, numbers always start at 0. Okay? So all 9 of these numbers in squares will be all set to 0, nothing in them. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, if a player clicks on square 0, we're going to set square 0 to turn. And what that means is square 0 will become 1. And then let's say the next player, which will be a cross, clicks on square number 4. Square 4 will become 2 for cross. And that's basically the system we're going to run with in the entire game. So to do that, okay, we'll just write it here. Let's put a comment of make the player own this. Okay. Now for me to actually write this code, generally you write the name of the array, so which is squares, square bracket, and then which square they're going to own. So let's say if I want the first square to be owned by a cross, I'd write that. Okay, if I want the second square, 1, to be owned by a naught, I'd put that. Okay, and this is basically the system we're going to use, except for we want the user to pick the square number, not us. So we use this variable up here, square number. Oh God. Right? And we don't want every single square that's clicked on to be owned by a cross. We want it to be owned by whoever's turn it is. So we write turn. Okay? And that takes care of that. It's automatically going to associate the square that's clicked on with whoever's turn it is at that moment. What I want to do actually, I want to show you what squares looks like inside the editor. So at this moment forward, don't copy what I'm doing unless you want to do the same thing. So I'm going to go public in front of all this. I have to add an awake function. I have to go squares equals new int 9, just like we did above. I'm going to get rid of all this code afterwards, but just bear with me. Okay, go back, play. If I click on the game manager, I should have, there it is, squares with 9 numbers underneath it, all set to 0 to start with. Means 0 can mean in our game nobody has selected that square. I click on any square, see that numbers automatically go inside of our array integer. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to check who has won the game. I'm going to get rid of that, get rid of public, okay, and we're ready to move on. Let us make a new function, check for winner. We also have to check for a loser, but we're going to check that later on. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check if the first row has been taken up by naughts. Okay, and that's a big if statement for this one. So we're going to go if squares 0 equals 1. Okay, that means that the first square is a naught. Okay, and to get the first row, they have to have also, so I'm going to put an and, squares 1 equals 1. And 2 equals 1. I keep pressing 2 for some reason. What this means is the naught owns the first square, the naught owns the second square, and a naught owns the third square. Okay, I'm just going to print down the bottom, naught in. Just like so. All right. So let's put check for winner here. Window. Check for winner. Okay. So you can see most of our work is actually done by the square clicked function here. Go back here. What we're going to do is we're going to put noughts in the top row. So a naught. And there it is. We can now check if somebody has won the game. Now we're going to expand this. So we check all the rows, all the columns, and the diagonals. Okay, so there's a bit of copying and pasting going on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that. Come down a line. I'm going to type in else first and then space, paste. Okay. Now all I'm going to do is change the square numbers. Okay. So make sure you get the square numbers right. So 0, 1, and 2 is our first row. Then we're going to go 3, 4, and 5 for the next row. 3, 4, 5. Just like that. Copy all this. Do the next row, which is going to be 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Let's just make sure one of these works. Let's do the bottom row, for instance. Okay, so it is working. Perfectly fine. Okie dokie doke. Now the first problem is we've got to now extend this so we do all the columns and we do the diagonals. So guys, I actually want you to have a go at that yourself. I'm going to pause the video for the moment and come back with that finished. Okay, and I'm basically going to be copying and pasting and changing these numbers just for Mr. Naught for the moment. Okay, so I'll see you soon. All right, guys, so I've finished up. I've got the first column here, second column, I've got the third column, I've got the left to right diagonal, the right to left diagonal. Okay, just make sure your numbers inside these square brackets are the correct ones. I would suggest go and play the game and test every single time. Make sure you got them all. Now, the first problem is only Naught can win at the moment. Not a good thing. Okay, we need to expand it so we can do crosses. Now, it seems a bit tedious. Copy all this, paste it again, and change all those ones into twos, because that is just a little bit lazy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called a for loop. Now, for loop is basically counts, and I'm going to make a variable called player that starts at the number 1. It then is going to increase until the number 2, and this tells C# how to increase the number. Okay, so let's grab all this if statement, drag it into the loop. Oh, that didn't really work very well. Not going to drag at all. Cut, paste. Better. Okay. Now what this is actually going to do, you'll see it's starting at the number 1 and it's actually going to stop when it gets to the number 2. So what we do there, instead of writing 1 in every single one of these places, we write player. And that will automatically start at number 1 and do a check. And then it'll go to number 2 and then perform another check. Okay? So for that, I'm not going to stand there and replace every single one of these ones with player. I'm going to highlight this section again. Control H on the keyboard. What do I want to replace? I want to replace the 1, but be careful. Put equals equals 1 like that. What do I want to replace it with? Equals equals player. Then I click on this button. Job done. So if square equals player, square equals player, square equals player. Okay, and that's going to do that for us. So what I want to do, we're going to do one more thing. Now it can be the naught or it can be the cross. So I can't say naught wins. So I'm going to put player plus win. Okay. Again, I can do a replace. Let's just type in naught. Oh, actually, I need to put the quote mark on the front of it. Sorry. I could put player plus quote. 7 instances. Now I want to run the game. Any player can win at any time. Okay. Press play. Let's do cross or cross. It says 2 wins, but that means the cross has won that time around. Okay. So what we're going to do, this is actually not that great because you really want something to come up and say somebody won, and then you can press the button to restart the game. So what we're going to do, I'm first of all going to institute one more play, because if the game ends, let's say the Naughts win. Okay, it says right there, 1 wins, which means the Naughts have won, but I can keep on playing if I really feel like it. And now we're going to get tons of messages about who won. So what we have to do is disable the ability to click on any more squares at the end. Okay, so one more function down here, guys. Disable square. This is going to be a bit of a complicated one, but what we're going to do is go and find every single object in the game, which is a quick clickable square, and we're going to destroy it. Okay? Just like over here, we destroy the clickable square when they click on it. When the game ends, we destroy all the ones that are left over. Destroy the remaining squares. And we do this with a for each function. For each clickable square, called square, inside game object dot find objects of type diamonds clickable, and then you put brackets right there. Probably looks very complicated, but all that's saying is for every single square that is left on our game, then we destroy it. Okay. Now the only time is we actually have to use this function, and we're going to use this function right above where you see print. Right here, disable squares, like so. Right, I'll do the same thing. Whoop. Here, here, here. Like so. All right. So if you need to pause the video, guys, and finish up your disable squares function there, please do so, because I'm going to go in and show you how it works. Circle, circle, circle. Now, hopefully, all those scripts have been destroyed, so I can't click on anything at all at that point. Okay. Second thing, now we have to figure out who has actually won the game. So this is all well and good down the bottom, but I want a big message that comes up and says somebody won, and I want a restart button as well. Okay. So I need another variable, believe it or not. Up the top here, int winner. I can type properly, equals 0. Okay, and we're going to set the value of winner to the player who won. Okay, I'm just going to go winner equals player. And I'm going to do this again and again and again, all the way down, same as we did for disabled square. There, there, there. Okay, so we're not going to see any visual difference now. All we're doing is remembering who actually won the game. Okay. And we're going to institute the last system, which is bringing up a message on the screen that says Naughts won or crosses won. Okay. And we do that by creating a label on the screen and putting in the message that Naughts have won. So come down the bottom of the screen here, guys, underneath next turn. I'm going to create one called onGUI. It stands for on graphical user interface. And this is where you can draw things to the screen. Okay. I wouldn't recommend this in a professional project. For just a basic one, it's perfectly fine. Check if we have a winner. Okay. And if winner equals naught, okay, let's draw a label on the screen. So winner is naught. The way we draw a label is by going GUI.label, and then it wants a position and the content. Position, we have to create what's called a rectangle. So new rect, and we want to specify the X and the Y position of this rectangle, the width and the height of it. Okay. Now the biggest problem with this rectangle is the size of screens can change depending on what computer or what device you're on. So we're going to take the screen's width and divide it by 2 to get the middle of the screen. And then we're going to minus 50 because our message is going to be 100 pixels across. Okay. The Y position is going to be a very similar thing. Screen.height divided by 2. So in the middle of the screen, minus 25 moves it up slightly. So it's going to be 50 pixels high. Width 100, height 50. Okay. Now what we do after this first bracket here, in quotes, we put naught is winner. Okay, and then a semicolon at the end. If you need to pause the video, guys, and write that down, please do so. I'm going to test it right now. Make sure it loads. Yep. Play. Naught is winner. You see it's pretty much smack bang in the middle of the screen because of that code. And we're going to do the same thing for, obviously, the cross. Type in else, copy that. Here, we need to change 2 things. Winner equals number 2. three things if you want to change the comment, and that it says Ross is winner. Get that typed up, guys. Make sure you've got that. The last thing we need to do is have a button pop up that says restart. Okay, I'm going to do that just here. Check if the game is over. Really easy for that one. Now, the reason I'm not doing it inside this if statement is because it doesn't matter which player wins, we're still going to go reset button. Okay? And I only want to write the code once. I don't want to copy and paste this one. If winner does not equal 0. So if it's not 0, then somebody has to have won the game. I'm going to give them a button. So we're going to go GUI, button, same thing as before, a new rectangle. And I'm going to put it roughly in the middle of the screen. So screen width divided by 2, minus 50. Screen height divided by 2. Instead of minus 25, I'm going to go plus 25. And that'll put it under our label. 100 for width, 50 for height. And in the button, I want restart. Just like that. Semicolon on the end. Okay, and that's just going to make a button. Pause the video if you need to actually write that up, because I want to quickly test it now. Make sure a button appears. Bang, bang, bang. There's our restart button. Doesn't do anything, but it looks pretty. The way you get buttons to work is you put an if statement around them. So the first thing is get rid of the semicolon on the end. Write if on the front, bracket there, and then close the bracket on the other side. Squigglies. And the code you've got here is what executes when they click on the button. Okay? And to reload, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to try and wipe everything off the screen and reset all our variables. I'm just going to reload the level, and that way everything resets for me. Okay? The way we have to do it these days is actually fairly complicated compared to what it used to be. First thing we need to do is scroll all the way up to the top of your file, even to line 1. And I'm going to make a new line 2. Type using Unity engine .scene management. First thing we need to do is add that line 2. Okay, when you got that, come right back down to on GUI. We're going to go scene manager .load scene, and what we want to do is we just want to reload the scene that we have. So let's just type 0, and that should theoretically reload the level that we are on top of, okay, or already running. Press play. Bang. We can play again. All right, maybe I should get Cross to win. Yeah, Cross is winner. Okay, we only have one last problem before I finish this video off, guys, and I'll see you later, is we have to have it so that when all the cells are full, but none of the winning conditions have been met. So basically, every single square is full, but nobody's won. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to make a third case for winner equals 3. I'm going to copy this stuff here, paste it. I'm going to call it draw. Here we're going to go, it's our draw. Now, nowhere in our entire program are we ever setting winner to equal 3. So we actually have to create code for that inside here, inside our check for winner. Okay. Now, the biggest problem is we don't actually have any code that's going to work right now without adding a lot. So I'm going to add a new little system to make this a little bit easier. What I'm going to do, make one more integer, call it click count, start at 0. Every time a square is clicked, we're going to increase this. If it gets to 9 and we still don't have a winner, we're going to make winner equal 3. If click count equals 9, all the squares are being used, and when it equals 0, that means no one has won. We're going to call it a draw. Right here, increase click count plus equals, plus equals 1. There's another way you can do that. I was just thinking about it. Okay, now let's go to our check for winner, and let's do this. Okay, check for if click count equals 9, double equals 9, and winner equals 0, winner equals 3. Whoop, not 4. So if we've used 9 squares and there is no winner, then the winner is 3, which means we have a draw, which then means we should disable this. Actually, we don't need to disable squares because all the squares are being used. and it should go down to, okay. If you need to copy that code down, please pause the video and do it. I'm going to go test like I always do. Let's try and get a draw. Always stuff this up. Oh, see, I told you. Oh, I'm doing it again. Oh, god damn it. All right. Don't be as bad as me at winning. Code didn't work. Fantastic. Okay. So the question is, why didn't it work? Okay, click count equals 9 and winner equals 0. Winner equals 3. If winner equals 3. You're working. What I'll do is I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to make winner public. Let's have a look at it. Let's see if I can actually lose to myself. God, I suck at it. Okay, let's go to game manager. See winner equals 0. Sucks because that should be working. Let's have a look at click count. Sorry about this, guys. Have the time. Click count equals 9, winner equals 0. So wait up, why is that not working? That makes no sense whatsoever. Oh, I know what's going on. I need to move this, guys. We need to move these 3 lines of code a little bit higher. We need to increase the click count, then check for a winner. That was a bit silly. Take off the publics. Sorry, guys. Right, one more time. At least I've got it down pat losing. It's a draw. There you go. All right, besides that final stuff up there, guys, I hope that was an okay video series. I hope you learned something and enjoyed it. But create a noughts and crosses. Go further than that, guys. I've actually made projects which has got ultimate noughts and crosses, which means you can have more than 3 in a row. You can have 4 or 5 or 6, okay? And it gets really complicated at some points. But anyway, thank you very much for watching the new tutorial series. I hope to get more videos to you a little bit more often these days. But otherwise, thanks very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment down the bottom. See you later, guys.